Every single time you scroll through social media, search for a product, or even just walk down the street with your phone in your pocket, you're leaving behind this invisible trail, a digital footprint. And for a huge growing network of companies right here in India, that footprint is literally a gold mine. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this silent industry of data brokers. Which brings us to a really direct question, one that gets to the absolute heart of all of this. Who actually owns your digital identity? The answer, as you're about to see, is way more complicated than you might think, and it has some serious implications for your privacy. Let's start by looking at the key players in this hidden market. So first up, let's talk about the data gold rush. This is an entire industry that's absolutely booming in the shadows, all by turning our personal information into a very, very valuable commodity. Right at the center of this industry, you have these companies called data brokers. Now, the easiest way to think of them is like the middlemen of the digital world. Their whole business is collecting, packaging, and then selling your personal data, usually without you even knowing they exist. So, you're probably wondering, how do they even get this stuff? Well, they're pulling it from all over the place. They can buy data directly from the apps on your phone. They scrape information from public websites and social media profiles, and then they meticulously stitch it all together to create these incredibly detailed profiles on millions and millions of people. Now, on a global scale, this market is dominated by a few huge players. But in India, the scene is a little different. It's a market that's still kind of growing up, and you see all sorts of companies acting as data brokers. Telecom firms, analytics companies, adtech platforms. Think about it. Your mobile provider knows exactly where you are, in real time. They could easily package that location data, anonymize it, and sell it to a company that analyzes foot traffic. And you'd never, ever know. And this hidden industry, it has a direct and, honestly, a pretty profound impact on your personal life. It's basically creating a detailed file on you that you've probably never seen. So let's take a look at what that file might actually have in it. Okay, get this. The average smartphone user in India has over 40 apps installed. And here's the thing you have to remember. Every single one of those apps is a potential gateway for your personal data to be collected and then sold off. And what they're grabbing it's just staggering. We are not just talking about your browsing history here. Oh no. They're collecting your real-time location, your shopping habits, who you talk to, and they can even get access to incredibly sensitive information like your religion and your caste. And this really brings us to the core of the problem in India right now. It all comes down to a total lack of consent and control. As it stands, there is just no system for you to find out which companies have your data, what they're doing with it, or, and this is the most important part, how to make them stop. Okay, so let's dig into why this lack of control isn't just some vague privacy concern. This stuff poses serious, tangible threats in the real world. You see, when this industry operates with no checks and balances, the consequences can be severe. It paves the way for political manipulation, for hyper-personalized scams designed to exploit your specific weaknesses, and even for discrimination when it comes to things like credit scores and insurance. It can be used for malicious tracking and to spread disinformation with terrifying accuracy. And in the Indian context, the danger is just magnified. When really sensitive data points like religion and caste are just another part of the profile being bought and sold, it can lead directly to targeted harassment, discrimination, and real-world harm for communities that are already vulnerable. All right, so now that we've seen just how big the problem is and what the risks are, let's shift gears and talk about solutions. What does the legal landscape look like, and what can we do? So, India did recently pass the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, the DPDP Act, which is a huge first step. But, and this is a really big but, it doesn't directly mention or deal with this secondary market of data trading and resale. That's a pretty major loophole. And you can really see the gaps when you put India's DPDP Act side by side with frameworks like GDPR in Europe or regulations from the FTC in the US. The Indian law, it doesn't even mention data brokers explicitly. It doesn't require any kind of licensing to resell data, and it doesn't give citizens a clear, universal way to just opt out. But here's the good news. There is a clear path forward. Experts have basically laid out a 5-step roadmap to fix these issues. It starts with something simple. Create a public registry of data brokers, just so we can see who's actually operating in the space. It also means giving users a really easy way to opt out, like a single button that just says, "Stop selling my data." These are not radical ideas. It's just about establishing basic transparency and control. Ultimately, this really comes down to a fundamental shift in how we think. We have to stop looking at personal data as just another resource to be mined, like oil or gold. We have to see it for what it truly is, an extension of a person's autonomy, their dignity, and their basic right to privacy. So, I'll just leave you with this final question to think about. If your entire digital life can be bought and sold in the shadows completely without your knowledge or your consent, are you really truly free in the digital world?